everybody, welcome back to PlumFiggy. This is Tammy, and today I have the last of my 2019 December daily. Well, I shouldn't say that. I'm gonna do a flip through of the entire thing. There's a few things I've added that I haven't filmed or shown you yet. So I'll show you the final of all that. Alright, so what we're looking at here is two pictures from after it snowed. The smaller one is a tree in my front yard, and then that other one that's on the page is my backyard. And I'm putting this here because, as you can see, there's some cardinals on the page. I just wrote a little something on this page about I have a family of cardinals that come back every year, and that tree in the backyard is a weeping, some type of crabapple tree. So there's always some berries left over at the end of the year, or at the end of fall, and the birds like to eat them and stuff. So they just kind of come back throughout the winter. So those two pictures are actually not from this year, but that's okay. I don't mind. I know that it's fine with me. So, okay, so the paper on the right side is a really gorgeous tea stain paper, and I really didn't want to cover it up too much. And actually, I think I'll probably leave the back side of that paper just plain. But what you can see here is I'm just looking through a bunch of my other papers to try and find a nice background or a backside for the picture. And so I chose that black with the white script on it. I like that because it was a black and white photo. And then I'm going to put that cardinal picture on the backside of that. And I really like the pop of red, so gonna do that. Sorry for my voice again, guys. I really do feel okay. I've lost my voice from so much coughing, so I'm sorry. I'm sure it's hard to listen to, so I'm not gonna talk too much again in this video. It's gonna be a lot of fast moving stuff. So if you're not into that, I totally get it. I apologize. But I wanted to get this out there for any of you who have been following and were interested in seeing what I come up with. So, all right, so here I have another picture of a cardinal. This is not a picture that I took. I wish I could say that I took this picture. It's beautiful. But no, it's one that I found on Pixabay, which is a copyright-free images place. So if you're ever looking for copyright-free images that you can use and put into things that you make and sell, Pixabay is a really good resource for that. So, and then those three other little pieces of red came in a bunch of ephemera that I had purchased recently, and I wasn't sure they were printed off. You can tell that they were printed. They're not very good quality, actually. So, but I didn't know where they came from, so I didn't feel comfortable putting them in something that I would sell. So, they're gonna stay in my stack, or my stash. All right, so just got the sewing machine out and quickly did a couple rounds around that picture to sew it onto that fabric, and then found this little doily just hanging out in my stash and thought it was a perfect thing to end this back side of this photo. So just gluing all of that down. And then I'm going to put it back on the page, and I'm just going to tip it in with some washi tape. So I'm trying to decide which one to use, and I chose this one. And in retrospect, I think I would have preferred the other one, but that's okay. I end up putting some of this other black with white text over it, and I think it looks really nice. So just gonna finish putting that together, and then I didn't really want to, so this is a stamp set I bought from someone who was destashing stuff, and it looks like it originally came from Michael's. I don't know how old it is though. It may or may not still be there, but it's a Christmas set, and here I'm going to make a little tuck spot with the pine cone from that stamp set. And just like I did with the other tucks in the rest of this journal, I'm going to punch it out with my 1-inch hole punch, and then just glue half of it, and then the other half is left free, and you can just tuck your photo right behind it, and that way you don't have to use a brad or do anything like that. So alright, so there was another cardinal stamp in that stamp set, and I thought, well, maybe I could put that on the page somewhere, but it just didn't really look right. So instead I grabbed this Noel stamp and decided to put it on the back side of the other picture, and I don't like how that looks. So I decided to stamp it onto some craft paper, and then I'm gonna paste that over the stamp that I just did. So gonna erase that little mistake, and nobody will ever know that it was there. Just getting some, what is this? Not cheesecloth. It's like cheesecloth, but not as tight of a weave. I get mine at Hobby Lobby in the fabric section, and they have it in a bunch of different colors, but I like this brown color. So I'm adding that because it adds a little bit of texture behind the stamp. I thought it just needed a little bit something more, so just kind of roughen that up a little bit and gluing that back down. Okay, so yeah, oh, and that washi was kind of coming up, so just decided to secure it a little bit better. This one too. When you put washi on top of other washi, because it's slick on the side that you see, the washi doesn't stick to it very well. So sometimes you just gotta double glue it. So, all right. Oh, and one more stamp. Gonna add this little. It's like a Christmas rose or flower. I just felt like this page needed a little bit something more right there. It just looked a little bit bare. And then I think I'm going to show you, yep, closer up how it all turned out. So that's how that one looks. I like how that looks. I think it's pretty nice. And then I just love this picture. The snow, it was just gorgeous. So, and then the backside, I really love this spread. I think it turned out really well. And then there's that little flower stamp. And then that other cardinal, that came from a little vintage book that I found. It's like the book of birds in North America or something. So, all right. So went to another stamp set by My Mind's Eye. It's the Splendor collection, and just going for a frame here so I can put the number of the journaling prompt, which is number 6. And this stamp set, I think, is also from Reflection, from Michael's. Don't quote me on that though. It could be from the $2 spot at Joann. I'm not sure. I've had it for a few years, so. All right, so moving on to the next day, and this is another, I'm going to do number 6 again for this day. This journaling prompt is saying, what are some memories that you are fond of from the last year? And I didn't really intend for the cardinal one to be that, but I thought it was fitting, so went ahead and did that. And then this one, this quote here doesn't have anything at all to do with what I journal about, but I just really loved it. And it reads, "For each new morning with its light, for rest and shelter of the night, for health and food, for love and friends, for everything that God sends," by Ralph Waldo Emerson. And I've read it several times. If you have a chance, go back and pause and reread that yourself. It's an easy quote to just dismiss and say, oh yeah, that's nice. But if you really read it, it's a really nice little quote. And I just thought it was fitting for the end of the year, kind of, kind of like a goodwill, like, kind of a thing. So I just wanted to document it in this journal. And so here I'm just kind of I'm going to make it the feature on this page, and then my writing is going to be secondary to this. So, the other thing I wanted to do on this page is just kind of keep it really neutral. The background piece of paper that I chose is just some white lace, and I thought it looked kind of nice with that doily on the top. And then here I thought where I wanted to place it, I felt like it needed a little bit more collaging, so I'm just going back in and adding a bit more paper down in that right corner, because when I first set this page up, I didn't know how much I was going to write on the page or even what was going to be on the page. So, so just decided to fill in a little bit more of the space there. All right, so just going to ink around the edges to give it a little bit more of a distressed look, so it kind of blends in with the page a little bit better. And going to glue that down. And I think now I'm gonna, so now I'm gonna do my journaling. I'm just writing about a night a few weeks ago that me and some of my girlfriends had. We just had a game night, and it was just a really nice evening, and just am grateful that I have got great friends, and we always have a good time together. So, all right, so I thought that the page needed just a little bit more to it. I felt like that bottom left corner was a little bit bare. Plus, I needed to put the number somewhere. So I went ahead and pulled out one of my stars that I had made from some old book page paper. And then here I thought maybe I wanted to put those snowflakes down on the bottom, but then I changed my mind. Instead, what I'm going to do is do some cross stitch. But first, I guess I'm going to stamp my number. And so I'm using some Tim Holtz foam stamps here and stamp my number 6. And then I didn't get it quite dead center, so I was kind of irritated that I did that. So then I thought, well, let me try and fix it with this little stamp that is in that little frame there. It's just 3 little diamonds. Thinking I would fix it with that. Ended up not even putting it in there, but pulled out, yeah, so this is that VersaFine stamping ink in the color wheat, and ended up stamping that little diamond pattern down in the corner instead. And then I pulled out this other stamp set, which is one that I've gotten from AliExpress. And I like the really small print. You can't read it at all. It just adds some texture. So I'm just, this is the first time I've ever stamped those. Oh, and then I got my Galaxy Gold color out to make it come out just a little bit more. And I'm just stamping it here and there. And then there's a really, really tiny stamp in that. It's just script again. And I pulled out a third color called Sahara Sand. So it's a little bit of a darker brown. I just felt like it needed to be pulled out of the page a little bit more. And this third color really did that. So between the 3 different colors, it's kind of hard to see in the video, but in person you can see the stamping a little bit better. But just tried to tie it all in as best as I could there without overdoing it. So I'm notorious for overdoing things sometimes. So all right, so just putting some ribbon down as kind of a base for my cross stitch, and poking the holes, trying not to poke my finger. It happens more often than I'd like to admit. And just pulled out some of this twine. It's got like some silver thread in it, and decided to use that. I thought it would be pretty as a contrast to the other gold and browns and creams. I didn't want to make you suffer through my cross stitching. I'll show you the end of it here in just a second. Hopefully, if I can get it in frame. Just simple 3 little X's there down at the bottom. Oh, and now I'm going to show you close up. So here is how those stamps look. And that is this page. All right, so now moving on to the next day. And which one is this? Oh, number 25, pics of your pet. So now you're going to get to meet my little Bella, if you haven't seen her before. So just rolling through the journal, trying to find a page. I knew that I wanted to keep her pictures in these envelopes. I found these vellum envelopes in my stash, so decided to use one for her pictures, and then the other one's going to be for my journaling. So I'm just gluing those down, and going back to my paper stash again, trying to find something. I don't even remember what I was trying to find. Oh, paper for me to journal on. And then pulled out this sticker from, it's a thicker, from the Wildflower collection. I'm not sure which collection that is, but decided to put it onto some of this music tissue paper that I had added gesso to, and I thought that would help pull it out from the page a little bit, because with all the scrolls on the background, I thought it was getting a little bit lost, so decided to add it to this. Gluing that down, and then from this sticker sheet, I just pulled off a little arrow sticker and pointing to the envelope, because that's where the cuteness is. And then, pulling a heart stamp. Got that little heart stamp, and then got some, it's a copper colored ink from that same line of stamping ink, and just put those on the little envelopes. Then I thought I wanted to add some washi to this envelope here. Well, I was thinking to add it to both of them. And in retrospect, I wish I wouldn't have added that. And that's why I didn't add it to the second envelope. I left it because I'd already glued it, and I knew if I pulled it off, it was just going to rip the paper, and then I'd have more of an issue on my hands. So I ended up leaving it, but I wished I wouldn't have done that. So now I'm just getting my journaling card ready. Just using some scrapbook paper, and it's thinner scrapbook paper, so I'm going to glue them back to back, and of course you can never get them glued exactly correctly, so now I'm fixing that little mistake and doing my journaling. So I'm really speeding this up, but basically Bella's had a rough year. I just about lost her several times. She's good now, but she, after some trials and tribulations, she was doing a lot of vomiting and not eating, and long story short, was diagnosed with acute pancreatitis, and I ended up having to have a feeding tube put into her, and for several weeks, actually had to feed her through the feeding tube with some liquid food, obviously. She's still on medication every day, but she doesn't have the feeding tube anymore, so she's, to see her, you wouldn't know that anything was wrong, but this is something I feel like probably for the rest of her life, we're just gonna have to manage it. So this is her little goofy butt. This is her chair, and she just likes to lay on her chair like this. Like, she's just happy and content to flop her legs on either side and just hang there. So yeah, this is pretty common sight in my house. She's a funny little cat. So she's a good girl. But yeah, she's like 9 years old. She'll be 10 years old in a few months. So, I'm hoping we've got some good years left, but it's been kind of a rough year with her. So, and I think she knows that her life was saved several times, and she's showing me her gratitude, and she's a little stinker sometimes, but she's mostly a pretty darn good cat, so I wouldn't trade her for anything. So here I'm just going to stamp out the number for her journaling prompt, and it is 2025, using the same foam stamp from Tim Holtz. And then I didn't stamp that in the right middle, and since I'd already glued it to the back, I felt like I needed to add something to the top, so just stamped that banner and gluing that down. And I did write Bella Face on that. I call her Bella Face, but I'm going to cover that with just Bella. So, all right, so getting to the last one, took a picture of you right now. Any thoughts? So number 24. All right, so just going back through the journal, trying to find a page to use. Thought about that page, but decided no. And then decided on this one. So here's pictures of me. So literally just turned the camera on myself, not wearing any makeup or anything. Took a picture or two, and I'm actually pretty happy with how they look. To be honest with you, I don't like having my picture taken. I actually hate having my picture taken, because I never like how I look in them. But I was pleasantly surprised this day. Um, been losing a little bit of weight and it's showing in my face, which makes me happy. So, yeah. So, anyway, so now I'm making a photo mat for the two black and white ones and just inking the edges. My trimmer is, I think, on its last legs, and it leaves little paper bits every time I cut something. So, yeah. So, here I am just trying to figure out how to get the photos on. In retrospect, I wish I would have done this after I'll sew around the outside edge, and then obviously that leaves white because there's white on the inside of the paper. So then I have to go back with my distress stain, and I accidentally got some on my picture that I really didn't want to get it on. But okay, so yeah, I'm kind of all over the place on this. To be honest with you, this spread took way, way, way too long. Like, literally, you can see I've got different clothes on because it's the next day. Yeah, I really thought about it before I really did too much because I really wanted to figure out how to do it without messing it up. Okay, so here I'm making a little pocket that I'm going to be gluing onto the back side, onto the page, and just inking the edge here. But I'm going to stop right now because I don't love how busy this looks. I feel like it's a little bit too much. So, and then I also wanted to reinforce the paper because it's a little bit thin. So I decided to sew some fabric strips to the edge, and so here I'm getting those fabric strips ready. And then I still changed my mind again on this. Yeah, I just cut out a whole bunch of thinking because you don't need to sit and watch me figure that out. Meanwhile, my photos won't stay stuck. So, re-gluing with some stronger glue. Actually, I think it's the paper that I printed on is a little bit thicker and maybe a little glossy. So I don't think that glue stick really worked very well. Okay, so I decided to pull out some gesso, and this is some Jane Davenport gesso that I've had. I'm just trying to use it up, actually. But my goal in doing this was to kind of tone down the music sheet a little bit. Like, I appreciate that it's music, but I don't really need to see the actual music part of it. So, actually, in the end, I really love how this turned out. So, yep, so just setting those aside, and now I'm going to go back and keep working on this spread. What I'm doing is I wanted to make a gatefold. So I wanted the black on one side and then the green on the other side. Here I totally made a mistake and cut it the wrong way. So now I have this other piece. Thankfully it was tall enough to cover everything. So had to redo all that. And now I'm scoring the right side because I need to glue that down so that it has a flap, and then when you open it, it'll be held onto the page that way. So here I'm just doing some measuring of the green, and I wanted them to overlap. I didn't want them to meet in the exact middle. So I'm just kind of doing some measuring and trimming down some of that even more. And then I'm going to add that green color to the back of both of them. So I'm just measuring the height, and then I'll glue them down and trim away the extra. So I said I wasn't going to keep talking, but I guess I lied, huh? This would be an awfully long and boring video if I didn't walk you through it. Oh, and here's the Jane Davenport gesso. So, I guess that got out of place, but that's okay. So here I'm just getting rid of the extra and my freaking paper trimmer. Ah. Yeah. So I tried to fix it and it did it again. So now I'm kind of frustrated. Thankfully, and trying to figure out how to fix it, I was thinking about wrapping that other paper around it, but then I decided, no, let me measure again. Maybe it's long enough I can get rid of some of it, and thankfully it was. So, but first I'm going to bend this other side, make a flap on this other side, and here I'm just cutting the corners so that they will be hidden. All right, so now I'm going to take care of getting my old, I don't want to mark up my new backboard. So got my old one out and trimmed off the icky pieces on the end there. All right, so now I've got my gatefold and going back to my other two pictures to make a mat for those. And doing the same thing that I did on the other one where I have the green on one side and the black on the other. I chose that green because I really liked how it made those pictures pop, especially the black and white ones. And then just to be consistent, I wanted to use the same thing on this other mat. So just gluing those down, getting rid of the extras on the edges. And then I will distress the edges. Nope. Gonna round the corners and then distress the edges. And then I think I'm gonna set these aside. Oh, so I just went and sewn everything. I was quickly showing you everything that I sewed. But it's pretty self-explanatory. If you want a tutorial, there are bunches and bunches of them out there. It was really simple. I just laid one piece on top of another on top of another. All right, so I glued that down and then realized, oh no, I need to put these down first. And then I then also realized I kind of wanted to cover the little flaps. So this glue is having a hard time sticking to this craft paper. It's like a paper bag. It's not paper bag, but it's like paper bag. And so the glue just needs a little bit extra time to grab hold. So yeah, getting a little frustrating. But I'm proud of myself for getting those really even and not all weird and wonky. So all right, so now I'm just looking for some scrap collaging pieces to use. I don't use all of that, thankfully, but just pulling some stuff out. And I'm going to do a little bit of collaging. So the goal here is to cover the flaps and then kind of fill in some of the extra space on the right side where oh, and this piece right here, I have been trying to use this piece in this book for the longest time. Like ever since I started this journal, I've been trying to find a spot for this particular piece. I just love the color of it. So I was excited that this was the perfect page for it. So yeah, so good things there. All right, so yep, just covering and kind of doing very similar things to what I've done in all the other collage pages in this journal, trying to keep things really consistent. And tying in some of the green. The other goal was obviously I didn't want that washi tape showing, so I'll be covering that up too with the little tuck spot that I made. So, yeah, nothing too much interesting. I hope you all are having a great holiday. If you're taking a break, I hope you're enjoying your time off. I know I have been. Even though I've been sick, I've been getting stuff done and having a lot of free time too. So it's been really good. I really needed a break, and I'm glad I got one. So yeah. So I was gonna tell you on that little envelope. I did double up the two bottom tuck spots with paper, so I didn't have to double up the biggest piece, because I knew I was gonna glue it down anyway. And then over the top, I just wrapped the fabric over the top and sewed in a zigzag stitch over that and then around the whole thing. So that's how I constructed it. And then now I'm making my journaling card using some more of that green paper. And on the back side, I'm putting some of this coffee stain paper so that I can use this side to journal on. So just gluing that down, and then I'm going to trim off the extra. And actually, I decided to make the edges kind of a rougher edge, and used my ruler to tear the edges off here. So, and then of course I'm gonna distress it. And I don't know why I didn't sew around this one, but I'll probably go back and sew around this one, because it would be the only one that I didn't sew. But yep, so that's gonna just sit in there. And pulled out these stickers again, and chose the word happy, because I'm happy with how I look right now. And I don't often get to say that. And I'm not going to journal on the video here, but that's pretty much what I'm going to write about, is how good I feel right now with myself, and hoping that I can continue to make some progress. And all right, so here I am. Yeah, I don't have the big crocodile. This is the only one that I have. I don't have a long arm punch either. I don't have anything that's long enough to reach that far in. So now I'm trying to figure out how to fix that, because what I was going to do is just put some eyelets in and thread my bow through that. But now I got to take even more time and come up with something totally different. So got my 1-inch hole punch out again, and just going to make some little discs. And so then this turns into another experiment, because it's not like I've really done this before. So just kind of making it up as I go. Tried the really small circle punch and then that heart, and I didn't like the way it looked. So then I decided, okay, well, I got to figure out how to punch these in the middle. Oh no, I was gonna try and, because I don't have a 3/4 inch punch. I was gonna try and figure out how to find a 1/4 inch off the whole diameter. And then in the end, I just decided, just cut it and make it look as good as you can. So that's what I did. And then I traced around that on the others, just gluing them onto the craft circle here. And then I'm going to distress each of them. And then I'll punch a hole in the middle of each of them with my little crocodile. Oh, I was waiting for the glue to dry, so went back to this journaling card to stamp my number. So I grabbed my other Tim Holtz foam stamp set, which is a typewriter font, and decided to continue with the theme of music. And so gonna do some more gesso on this. And so then I'll do this, and I have to wait for that to dry. And I think by now my glue is dry, so now I go back to these and poke a hole in the middle. Oh, I was trying to find the middle because I'm anal retentive like that. And then I still didn't even draw the lines in the middle, so yeah, great. And then now I'm just tracing the middle one, and that way I could punch them all pretty much squarely in the middle. And now I'm gonna glue those down to the page. The first one that I kind of messed up, put that on the back side. Yeah, if I was going to do this over again, I don't know that I would do it this way, but in the end it turns out okay, so I'm happy with it. But yeah. Alright, so I decided to get out some white sari silk to use as my tie, mostly because it wasn't going to add tons and tons of bulk, even though those knots kind of do. Yeah, I would have probably done a different way to finish it there too, but that's okay. All right, so now I'm gonna stamp out my number, and then this spread is gonna pretty much be done, and that's gonna be it for my December daily. So yeah, so just gonna glue this down onto my journaling card. Gotta remove some of the extra and get it all squared up, and a little bit more. I'm gonna glue it down, and then realize I forgot to distress it, and glue it down again. Alright, that's gonna be it for today. Bye guys!